know about you is that you have ambition to be great. My job is to coach you to get all that greatness out of you.
What's good, Finn Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for yet another one, people. We got a lot of news to go over as day one of voluntary camp for the Miami Dolphins and the 2022 season opened up today. It's a 2-day voluntary camp for veterans, and we're going to talk about that. I got a lot of clips came out of today, so we'll go over those things. I want to talk about this ridiculous notion that's going around Twitter about Tua throwing deep, and we're going to dead that narrative. People are trying to say Tua can't throw deep, so we'll kill that tonight. We'll do our job, and we'll kill that narrative tonight. And then I got a whole bunch of other stuff to go over with you guys. I want to go over what Colin Cowherd said about his projections for Tua. I got an interesting article from Barry Jackson talking about the whole throwing deep narrative that I want to go over with you guys. The Dolphins are bringing in another player for a visit. I want to take a look quickly at Tua's completion rate in the red zone. The Dolphins signed back a familiar nose tackle we drafted a few years ago. We'll talk about that. David Cantor had some interesting comments for people trying to make snark remarks about Xavien Howard not being happy about Denzel Ward's contract. We'll talk about that. Drew Rosenhaus made a pretty bold prediction regarding the Miami Dolphins. We'll talk about that. And then some Deebo Samuel news is breaking as we speak, and we're gonna talk about that because it could involve us. We'll be talking about that near the end of this show too. So got a lot of stuff, a lot to go over for a Tuesday night in April. And a lot of it isn't draft stuff, which is absolutely surprising because we are in draft season. If you hadn't, also the Dolphins new players got the new numbers. We'll talk about that. If you hadn't had a chance, go ahead, go check the video I did last night with Ryan Roberts. We talked about the draft pick possibilities at 125, 102, guys who could make sense in the 200s for us. So a lot of good discussion regarding the draft and where the Dolphins are picking. And we got a lot more draft content coming your way, including the final board. It's going to be a tackle big board. Then I got a couple draft specific shows I want to do for y'all guys. So we're going to get into those. But I wanted to start off talking about, I saw Dougley, shout out to the homie Dougley. He responded to someone today. I don't know who he responded to, but I know Dougley was talking about the whole deep pass thing. And, he was talking about, if someone says Tua can't throw deep, as a football, they're an illiterate football fan. Well, I guess someone took issue with that. And, they came out and they said, first of all, the tweet that they sent out to Doug was, when you're pissed off about being called an illiterate Dolphin fan because you don't think he can throw far, spelling mistakes, grammar issues, not knowing where to properly put commas and such. I'm no grammar police, but you don't help the issue when you start doing that kind of stuff. And the tweet is just full of that. Anyways, he basically went off and said, one of the big reasons I hate Tua is he's divided this fan base. Either you believe in him and you're a Dolphins fan, or you don't believe in him and you're not a Dolphins fan. I'm paraphrasing basically. But how does Tua divide this fan base? I don't know. Have you ever thought about impatient fans who don't know how to watch film but are out here giving? Because let's be real, okay? Let's call it down the middle, all right? Whether Twitter, YouTube, whatever the case may be, there's a bunch of people out here claiming they know how to watch film. They don't know how to watch film, okay? And some of these people, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube comments, whatever the case may be, they got this anti-Tua narrative, but they don't know how to watch film on top of it. So maybe it's not Tua dividing the fan base. I don't know. Maybe it's people who don't know what they're talking about dividing the fan base. Maybe that's the issue. Okay. Tua has flaws and things he needs to improve on. There is no doubt whatsoever. But the more and more we talk about quarterbacks in this fan base, I'm going to tell you what it is. the more and more I see A, casuals who don't know what they're talking about, and B, people who have never really truly evaluated the quarterback position until Tua Tagovailoa arrived in Miami. They just took everything at face value, whether it's Tannehill, Matt Moore, whomever the case was. People who really didn't evaluate. Okay? Because context and circumstances continue to be left out of any conversation regarding this kid. Again, is he perfect? No. Is he flawed? Yes. Does he have areas he needs to improve on and take big steps forward in? Yes. But you can tell whether it's post Tannehill stress syndrome, PTSD as I call it, whatever the case may be, is you got people that don't know the position, trying to act like gurus when they talk about the position. They have no idea about context. You know, they label protection issues, drop issues, lack of coaching personnel, lack of talent around as excuses. And that's a clear indicator that you've never evaluated this position before. You do not know how reliant this position is. Mr. Ballgame has one of the best quotes, and this is a guy who coached football because and the defensive side, but even he knows what it is. What's one of his best quotes? The quarterback position is the most reliant position in football. You need 5 guys up front to block with you, 6 or 7, depending on how many running backs or tight ends got blocking assignments. You need guys to properly run their routes, separate, get open, and make the catch. You got receivers got to work for you, running backs got to work for you, and linemen got to work for you. So it's not excuses. See, people who label context and circumstances as excuses, again, you could tell they've never played football. They've never been in the trenches. They've never they've never played team sports at a high level whatsoever. You can tell right away when people say that stuff. You can tell they're nothing more than fans trying to give an opinion. Guys, Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa had no clear gap between each other heading into the 2021 season. There is a clear gap now. Joe Burrow he had a far better 2021 season. And he is, if you were to ask me who the best quarterback in that class right now is, it's Joe Burrow. Okay? But what did they do for Joe Burrow? Right? Notice how there wasn't a clear gap between Burrow and Tua after year 1, but Herbert was out here winning Rookie of the Year because, again, you'll look all around him. Because even though he had protection issues, which still weren't as bad as ours, he had a better staff, right? They might have been canned, but look at what Pep Hamilton just did with Davis Mills. Look at what he's done with Andrew Luck. All right? Their head coach at the time in his first year, former running back. They were an offensive minded. He got fired because of what they were doing with the defense, because the defense was falling apart, not because of the offense. Right? They fixed the protection issues for Herbert. Eckler has a career year. Herbert has great numbers again. But back to Burrow. Like, it was clear, whether it was the line, weapons, whatever the case, the Dolphins and the Bengals were behind the Chargers last offseason, heading into it. At the end of the last offseason, the Bengals made a ton of strides. Just drafting Jamar Chase and bumping T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd down a notch ended them up in perfect roles. I mean, think if we would have had T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd on our roster, and then we would have drafted Jaelan Waddle. Same scenario. They had Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon, they improved the line. I told y'all they weren't going to take Penei Sewell because they signed Riley Reef. They didn't take Penei Sewell, right? Then they tried to upgrade their interior as best as possible. They had the 22nd best offensive line. And I'll say this every day of the week. I would rather have 22nd than a historically bad 32nd ranked offensive line that we had. And Joe Mixon has a career year. Joe Mixon has arguably one of the best offensive lines he's had in his career, even though it's 22, and he has a career year. Right? So, context, everything matters. Right? They made more strides. Now, I will say this. All the strides that the Chargers had in place for Herbert and all the strides the Bengals made for Burrow, we have now made for Tua Tagovailoa. That's why I believe we're going to see the leap. That's why I believe we're going to see the leap. And again, if you watch the film, if you break down the film, you see the flashes. You see the areas of hope. Perfect example, EM. Okay. EM's one of, obviously a fan of Tua, but also one of his harshest critics. Why do you think EM hasn't called Tua a bust? Why do you think EM Dolphin fan hasn't gone out on Tua? Why do you think EM Dolphin fan was saying if it ain't Deshaun Watson, I want to keep going with Tua? Because even with his deficiencies right now as an NFL quarterback, he knows time, a better staff, and better person around him, organically you're going to take the steps forward. And a second offseason of properly training because he wasn't able to in 2020 because of his recovery, he was rehabbing. So it's a lack of patience. It's people who don't know what they're talking about. It's trolls. It's toxic people with agendas. Those are the ones dividing the fan base. That's what's dividing the fan base. And the fact that people can tweet or go up on panels and talk about it, how do you wake up in the morning and hate your quarterback? Like, who spends that much time hating someone? Like, that's a lot of energy to invest in someone you're never going to meet, someone you're never going to know, and someone who, if he performs well, you benefit as a fan of the team. It just makes no sense. It really doesn't. So, people forget. People highlight the things, I've said Tua needs to read all three levels consistently better. He needs to be better at predetermining his reads when he's put in a position where he has to. And he needs to tighten up his accuracy over the intermediate level of the field. All those three things are very coachable here. Okay? First of all, the intermediate interceptions. Let's talk about that for a sec. He bulked up, put on some weight last year with Perform. The Miami Dolphins asked him to bulk up. Clearly, his touch was affected a little bit. He's working with Perform. He's leaning down from that bulkiness to get back to a touch point that he feels comfortable at. Again, easily solvable. Okay? Predetermining, right? Making the proper predetermined reads. That's all coaching and film work. That is all coaching and film work. And what's crazy, and I've said this about Tua before, a lot of the time when you see him miss a predetermined read, either if it's early in the game, they'll go back to it later in the game and try it and he'll hit it. Or if it's late in the game when they try it and he misses it, they'll try it in either next game or the game after and he'll make the play, which tells me he watched the film, he saw it, he made the adjustment, he mentally remembered it, stored it, and he executed it. So that's coachable, that's fixable. And I already see, he can fix that. Reading all three levels better. Again, coaching film work. Right? Still elite pocket presence. He needs to clean up his mechanics too, which he never had an issue with at Alabama. But I think that's just an issue of lack of protection and lack of trusting his body and lack of trusting his weapons, but mainly the lack of protection, which the new fixes they've made should help that somewhat. So I'm not worried about that. Again, that's coaching too. That's fixable. All the things, if you actually look at the deficiencies Tua has, they're all coachable. They're all fixable. He still displays keyhole accuracy consistently. Even with his interceptions, he'll have one or two bad throws and the rest of the game is just accurate. How many times was he hitting Waddle in box, triangle, or bracket coverage because he was the only option and he was slinging it right in there? Okay? So he still displays that. I'm not worried about that. So, I mean, maybe it's fans dividing themselves. Stop blaming players. It's not like this guy's out here attacking all of y'all Tua doesn't even respond to anyone, whether it's local media, guys on social media, whether it's national media. Tua doesn't even respond. How can Tua be dividing this fan base? People got to start looking inside themselves. All right? You got the people who wake up in the morning and the first thing they think about and talk about is hating on this kid. And it's like the off season and he hasn't even like played in months. Like, Tua's not dividing the fan base. Fans who don't know what they're talking about, fans who are impatient, they're dividing the fan base. And I said there's 4 groups. Tua haters and Tua lovers, they're dividing the fan base. Tua believers and Tua non-believers, they are not dividing the fan base because they are different. Tua lovers will justify everything he does and he can never do any wrong. Tua haters, he can never do anything right and everything he does right is still crap and all you do is yell his failures. Okay? Tua believers believe into his ceiling, believe that with the proper personnel and the proper changes that have been made, he can start reaching that ceiling and working his way towards that ceiling that we all saw he had coming out of Bama. Tua non-believers, they don't think that ceiling is that high, and they just don't believe he's ever going to be anything more, than at best a serviceable quarterback. And, hey, if you prove them wrong, they're fine with it because they know if he proves them wrong, they're going to win. They just don't believe he's going to attain that ceiling that the believers think he has. Okay? There's different groups here. There's different factions. It's like wrestling out here. Okay? There's 2 believers and 2 non-believers. The more of the reasonable, logical ones on each side of the argument. The haters and the lovers are the ones that everyone got to look out for. Those are the people that will go after anyone on either side of the fence. So, and I'm just a Tua believer. I believe in Tua's ceiling. I believe in the coaching staff that came in. I believe in the weapons that come around. I believe he can give us top 12 play at the position. I saw him give us top 15 play at the position on a 4-game streak last year, 3.5, 4-game streak. When we had nowhere near the weapons we had nowhere near the running game we're going to have this year. We had nowhere near the offensive line we had this year. We had nowhere near the coaching staff we have this year. So organically, that tells me that just naturally he's going to take a step forward. If this guy's making chicken salad out of chicken shit, what happens when you actually give him chicken salad? Am I going to get a Michelin 5-star meal? Am I going to get a gourmet home-cooked meal? Because there's even levels to that. So, you tell me. Naturally, logically, use your voice of reason. Not me. The voice of reason. That little voice inside your head. Look inside yourself. If Tua did whatever you think he did, if you thought he wasn't good last year, if you thought he was good last year, whatever. It doesn't even matter what level you thought he was. If you think about what he has now compared to what he did last year, whatever scale you put it on, naturally, you've got to think he's going to raise that scale. Right? Naturally. Like, logic just leads you down that path. And now it's just a matter of how high of a scale we're going to go to. That's all. So, like, is he going to consistently give us top 15 or is he going to give us top 12? Or is he going to give us consistently top 20? And I think he's going to give us top 12 play at the position. I really do. I really do. And then I'll say this. If he does in year 1 give us top 12 play under Mike McDaniel, dude, the sky's the limit for year 2. Listen, I just finished telling y'all and describing to you why there wasn't a big gap between Burrow and Tua after their first year in the league. But now there's a clear gap after their second year in the league. Okay, we can all agree on that. I think we did a better job of surrounding Tua than the Bengals did surrounding Joe Burrow. And I'm not going to sit here and say Super Bowl, but why can't we take a reasonable leap like the Bengals did forward? Who cares if it's in year 3 or year 2, as long as it happens? That's all I care about, as long as it happens. And McDaniel's a better coach than Zach Taylor. We got a better coaching staff than them. Now, their defense performed better than ours last year through the whole season. We may have performed better over the last 8-9 games, but they performed consistently through the whole season better than us. Who's to say our defense can't get back to what it was in 2020? Be better than theirs. Our offensive line, even with Dieter or Jackson, they don't have a Terran Armstead. I think Connor Williams is better than any guard they have. So is Hunt. I think our receiving core is deeper than theirs now. Now I think their running game is better. I think Mixon's better than Edmonds and such. But, it's really kind of, when you think about it, it's, not that impossible. Think about it for a sec, man. Logic and reason is just going to tell you whether you thought Tua was bad last year or whether you thought Tua was good last year, he's going to be better than whatever you thought he was last year based upon the personnel, coaching staff-wise, and talent-wise put around him. Literally, it just leads you there. Now it's just a matter of how much better he was than last year for you and your taste. So that's where and so the talk about Tua specifically over the last couple of days that led to this whole thing has been, can Tua throw a deep ball? All right. Which is a dumb question because, we saw at Alabama, he had the best deep touch in that class. All right. It was ridiculous. And it didn't matter if you ran a 4.4 or 4.2. He had the touch to put it right in the bucket. Ask Jerry Jeudy. Ask Devontae Smith. Ask Henry Ruggs. All right. And I always gave him credit. I thought it was very impressive how he could go to different speed limits and, receivers aren't losing a step. That was very impressive. Now, again, go back to what I've said. I think up until this point, at least, the hip injury has taken away some of his athleticism and has taken away some of the torque of his football. But from what videos have been sent to me by Nick Hicks and Perform and the stuff that's been shown to you guys, it looks like the torque is starting to come back, and that's something they've been working on. And it's something they told me they'd be working on. So the torque is coming back. Now, this notion that Tua cannot throw deep is just utterly ridiculous. How ridiculous? Let's put it in perspective. Tua last year was 14 of 29 on passes 20 yards or more, which is considered a deep pass. Okay. He had a completion percentage of 48.3. Okay. He was 526 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. I always said, though, the issue was attempts. It was never about can he do it. It's always about the attempts. Now, the average depth of target when he was throwing beyond 20 yards was also 29.1 yards. All right. So, and here's the thing. When your average depth of target is 29.1 yards, but your yards per attempt is 18.1 yards on 20 plus passes, that says some of those catches were caught beyond 20 yards, and then they ran backwards a la Albert Wilson and got stopped. And, what that tells you is there's not a lot of yards after the catch. So here's the thing, though. He was 14 of 29, but he also had 2 drops. So if you were to include the 2 drops, his adjusted completion percentage would actually go up to 55.2% on deep throws. And also on those 29 attempts, he was pressured 13 times. He had an average time to throw of 3.11 seconds on deep throws as well. All right. So how does that stack up against the rest of the NFL? By the way, smash that like button, subscribe if you are new. How does that stack up to the rest of the NFL? All right, let's look at that. Let's look at how it stacks up this past year. All right, it's gonna surprise you. So when we go by completion percentage, Tua Tagovailoa was number 2 to Justin Herbert. Now Herbert, he attempted 35 more passes, and he only had a completion percentage higher of 0.1%. So basically the same. He doubled his yardage, but he more than doubled the attempts, right? And you look at obviously the touchdowns, the interceptions, very impressive from Herbert on beautiful stuff from him. But the interesting thing here is look at their average depth of target. Herbert and Tua, there's only a yard and a half difference between their average depth of target. Like when you were going to average depth of target for Tua, he actually works out, because there's a whole bunch of guys tied here, right? It says 24 at 29.1, but we've got a whole bunch of ties, all right? So if we do the math, right? If we do the math, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, so he's right around middle of the end of, I think he's like 17th. 17th. So he's right around the middle of the league in average depth of target. He has the same average depth of target as Tom Brady. And Tom Brady had like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Now, here's what'll be real interesting with you. If we factor in the drops and the adjusted completion percentage, Tua Tagovailoa is number 1 in the NFL. If the drops never happened, Tua Tagovailoa is sitting with the number 1 adjusted completion percentage in the NFL. Again, I've told y'all, I never lied to you. I told y'all the issue was the attempts. It was never a matter of if you could do it. The issue was the attempts. And what is he going to attempt another, I don't know, 20? So basically to remain, to finish at Matt Ryan's level, he would need to go 8 of 22 the rest of the way. But realistically, he would probably go about 11 or 12 of 22. Meaning he would be about 25 or 26 out of 51. So it's never been about can Tua throw the deep pass. Y'all are asking the wrong question. The right question is, will Tua throw the deep pass? That's the question you need to ask yourself. That's the question. It's not about can he. It's always been about will he. That's what this comes down to. So people out here asking the wrong questions about the quarterback. It's not a question of whether he can or can't. It's a matter of will he. Right? I mean, and let's look at an example here. Look at Jacoby. Jacoby, 8 of 20. But he had 11 pressures on 20 dropbacks. Tua, 13 on 29 dropbacks. So he's at about 47, 48% of his dropbacks. Herbert Herbert was pressured. Look at when Herbert went deep, guys. Herbert was only pressured on 20 of his 71 attempts. That's like less than 30%. Herbert was pressured on less than 30% of his deep pass attempts. Tua, no wonder. That tells you why he didn't go deep. He's getting pressured most of the time. So, again, it's not a question of if he can. It's a matter of if he will and if he can, given the pressure coming his way. I mean, and then you can look at the examples, and then you look at the offense. Our offense was not designed to go deep, guys, last year. They were how often were you seeing them test the top of a defense with Waddle? They didn't even challenge the top of defenses with Waddle. And when they did, and there was a safety over top, Tua still made plays out of the Baltimore game on that deep corner throw. And again, look at the San Francisco offense, guys. The San Francisco offense is not deep shot, deep shot, deep shot. It's short to intermediate, and they set up the deep pass. So again, it's not going to be deep shot, deep shot, deep shot, but they're going to present them. They're going to manufacture deep shots for him. Because, I mean, you go look at Garoppolo last year, right? Let's find Garoppolo here. Where's Garoppolo? So there's Garoppolo. Garoppolo only had 39 attempts. He was 14 of 39, 38.5%. Garoppolo only had 10 more attempts than Tua. Here, let me bring it up so y'all see it. I've highlighted the 39 for you guys. See it right there. So, I mean, you can see it, 39 of 14. So that tells you right there, they're not going to be continuously just bombing the football. That's not what they do. So again, can Tua throw the deep ball? Yes, very accurately, in fact. Very accurately. Okay? What he's number 2 in actual completion percentage, and he's number 1 by almost 3%. Almost 2.5% in adjusted completion percentage. So yeah, he can. He can throw the deep ball. It's a matter of will he throw the deep ball. That's what the proper question is. Is he? Will he? Not can he. He can. It's will he or is he? And we also, again, you go yards per attempt. Look at the yards per attempt. Number 1 on deep passes and yards per attempt. And that's with no yak. That's with no yak. In terms of like only yak a few times. We didn't have yak monsters on our team is what I'm trying to say. All right. So number 1 in yards per attempt. Number 2 in completion percentage. Number 1 in adjusted completion percentage. It's again, can he? Yes, he can. Will he? Again, Garoppolo only had 10 more deep pass attempts. So that would tell us if you add 10 on at his current rate, he would be about 19 of 39. And 4 of those would be sorry, I apologize. And he'd have about 3 drops. So I'm just saying, again, this whole narrative that he can't throw deep is ridiculous. It's ludicrous. It's ridiculous. I'm showing you right now, he can. We've broke down the film. Y'all have seen the film. He can. Y'all have seen him throw 70 yards, perform out here, a 70-yard throw to Lynn Bowden. Yes, he can throw deep. Will he throw deep? That's the question you ask yourself. All right? We got more speed than they had at San Francisco. We got a more accurate deep passer than they had at San Francisco. We got better route runners overall, depth-wise, than they had in San Francisco. Better separators overall than they had in San Francisco when you get beyond the Deebos and the Kelseys and such. Who knows? Maybe we do throw it 50 times deep. I like our chances because this tells me Tua is going to hover. If we throw it 50 times deep, he's going to be in the, 27 to 30 completion range out of that. Let's go. Let's go. And by that, if we double his numbers, that would tell me he's going to give me about 1,050 yards if we throw it 50 times. So let's go. So again, it's not a matter of can he, it's a matter of will he. Okay? People need to start asking the right questions. Again, I'm out here having to clean up people's mess because they don't know football and they don't know how to ask the right questions. So continuing on, I want to show you guys this article regarding this from Barry Jackson. And then we're gonna get into day one of voluntary camp. Okay, I got a bunch of videos to show you guys. The mistake with the national discussion about Tagovailoa and what must improve the most. As national television analysts keep discussing whether Tua Tagovailoa can maximize six-time Pro Bowler receiver Tyreek Hill, they keep going back to the same concern: Tagovailoa's deep ball. But other concerns about Tagovailoa, and we'll get into those in a minute, that shouldn't be in the top two if it's a concern at all. Anybody who watched Tagovailoa complete bomb after bomb at Alabama knows he can throw deep. Is he one of the best in the league at that? No. But is he at least adequate? Absolutely. His trainer, Nick Hicks, posted a video of Tagovailoa launching a pass 70 yards this offseason. Last season, Tagovailoa completed 14 of 29 passes that traveled at least 20 air yards. That's 48% accuracy, ranked second in the league, narrowly behind Justin Herbert. As a rookie, if Tagovailoa hadn't seen his receivers drop 3 well-thrown deep balls, he would have completed 13 of 29 such passes, 20 or more air yards, which is 45%. So if you eliminate drops, Tagovailoa would have completed 46.5% of his deep throws in his first 2 seasons. That accuracy is top 5 in the league. As NBC's Chris Collinsworth told me recently, Tua can throw the ball plenty far enough to bring in Tyreek Hill and all the speedsters he has on the team. Collinsworth said it drives him nuts when people talk about the need for quarterbacks to throw it as far as they possibly can, insisting that doesn't often come into play during games. What do I keep telling y'all? What do I keep telling y'all? It's about efficiency. It is not about highlight reel bombs. Get out of that mentality. It is about efficiency at the position. Does Tagovailoa have the cannon of Herbert? Of course not. The arm was a concern coming off the hip injury at Alabama, but it shouldn't be one now because he has regained power in his base. ESPN's Dan Orlovsky, a voice of reason on Tagovailoa, pointed out, Tua can throw the ball past 40 yards, America. He can do that. It's going to be okay. Tagovailoa didn't throw deep more often last season, not because of his lack of ability, but because coaches didn't trust the offensive line to give him enough time for those routes to develop. And his midseason rib injury made it difficult to throw deep for a few weeks. Yet the deep ball question keeps being asked. Can Tua push the ball down the field? Former NFL safety Ryan Clark said. Does he have an arm big enough that when we are getting opportunities in play action, that we can take the top off the defense? Tyreek is the type of receiver, Teddy Bruschi said, that makes reckless look calculated. mentioning Patrick Mahomes would throw the ball deep downfield and let Hill make a play. Can Tua be aggressive like that, or is he so conservative with catch and run passes that's all he can do? You need to be reckless at times because when the guy is down there, he will win in the majority of times. He's that good. I don't know if Tua has that. I haven't seen that at this level. Really? Why don't you go back to when we played Kansas City in year one on a certain touchdown throw to Gesicki? If that wasn't freaking reckless and double coverage with a man over top, technically triple cover, you tell me what's what's reckless, man. That was a reckless ass throw. And he made it. And that was at this level, Teddy. But that was because of the shortcomings of the line and the conservative nature of the offense, not because of any evidence that Tagovailoa cannot throw deep. Tagovailoa is tied with Cam Newton for the lowest percentage of deep passing attempts since 2020 at 7.1%. That's behind only Jimmy Garoppolo, who threw just 6.2% of the time. See? And with Mike McDaniel coming from San Francisco, expect an offense based around short to intermediate throws, Maurice Jones said. They will take deep shots, but it's not a big part of the offense. Again, I'm telling y'all this. It's short to intermediate, and then they take you over the top, man. They set you up for those throws. So if you're going to worry about Tagovailoa, don't worry about the deep ball. Instead, worry about these two things. His durability, he had 10 different issues the past 5 seasons. Listen, over the last 2 years, the Jets game in 2020, the rib and hand issue last year, how many games did he miss where Flores held him out longer than he should have? The decisions he makes sometimes in the face of a heavy pass rush. Tagovailoa had a 54.8% passer rating under pressure last season with 3 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. That was amongst the league's worst in Pro Football Focus. Yeah, I mean, some of those were predetermined reads, and he's making the wrong read. He saw the pressure coming. He's making the wrong read. He's nimble avoiding sacks, but too often throws regrettable passes in the face of a pass rush. If he can fix that and stay healthy, there's no reason he cannot be a very good quarterback. What Tagovailoa should do well is what he already does well, but needs to do at an elite level. Deliver the ball quickly to receivers at precisely the time and in the spot that he needs to. His performance in that area, how he plays in the face of the pass rush, his durability will be the biggest determinants of this season, not whether he can throw a ball 60 yards in an offense that doesn't call for that. Agreed, Barry. And Clark, despite the aforementioned question about Tua's arm, offers this in Tagovailoa's defense. He's more talented than Jimmy G and surrounded by better people. He's set up for success. If he's healthy, he's ready to roll. Man, again, we're not going to be asking him to just bomb footballs. That's not what our offense is. We're not an air raid offense. So, like, that's just not what is expected. I'm sorry. It's just not. You got to know what's expected of this offense. So, listen. All I said is if he gets better at reading all 3 levels consistently, gets better at his predetermined reads, he's going to be fine. And he gets that touch back over the intermediate level a bit more that he had before he bulked up last season, he's going to be just fine. He's going to be just fine, man. I'm not worried whatsoever. All right, guys. Well, today was day 1 of voluntary minicamp. And guys, I got a whole bunch of videos I want to go over with you guys. And let's start off easy for y'all. Let's start off real easy for y'all. All right. Let's start off how practice would. Let's start off with some warm-ups and some sprints. You know, we'll get to the good stuff. We'll work our way to the good stuff. Let's start off with some warm-ups and some sprints, man. So here's just an easy warm-up. The boys are back on the field. It's a beautiful thing, baby. It's beautiful. The boys are back on the field. Let's go. Oh my God, September can't get here fast enough. The boys are back on the field. Let's go, man. Man, just get here, September, man. I'll even take training camp. at this point. Just give me training camp. Here's the boys running some sprints. The sun beating down on them. Let's go, man. Feels so good just to see football, feel it, even voluntary camp, to feel it in the air is awesome. Awesome, man. Let's see some boys working those tackling machines, huh? Work those machines, boys. Tackling dummies machines. Boom. Let's go. Just some easy, simple stuff, working us up to the big ones everyone wants to see. You know, I gotta say this too. Man, Phillips working that tackle machine, big things in this year from this man. Let's go. I'm so excited to see Jaelan Phillips this season get some more reps, take a little bit of a step forward, getting used to that NFL level. Let's go, man. Big year from him. Another big year I expect from someone is this man. A guy I was talking about for a couple years heading into last year's draft, Jevon Holland. Look at here he is on the back pedal, and boom, stretches up, goes up and gets that. Man, let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's go, Jevon. Oh, Canada, baby. Woo. Let's go. AVG is another guy who I actually expect a big year from because contract, he needs some money. Usually they deliver for us. So I'm expecting a big year from AVG. And that's, again, what I love about Christian Wilkins is he's getting better every year organically. He's not waiting till a contract year to pop off. I'm not saying AVG is. I'm just talking in general. Guys, Tua to Cedrick Wilson, baby. Let's go. Let's go. 16-yard out all day. All day. SETI in those new threads, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Hopefully him and the new guys are going to get down to perform with Nick and them. That's what I'm hoping to see. And then, guys, what we have been waiting, just inject it into our veins. The content we have been waiting. Tua to Tyreek. I don't give a crap if it's 5 or 6 yards. All day, baby. All day, baby. All day, baby. All day. Let's go. Tua to Tyreek. Tyreek got those threads rocking. Let's go. Gonna be seeing a lot of that this year, ladies and gentlemen. Can't wait. I am hyped. And then finally, a nice little recap video of day one with the coach in there. See it. Let's go, baby. I'm ready for it. One more time. I'm ready for it. I am ready for it. Pump it into my veins. Yeah, Hunter Long. Woo! Let's go. Let's go, baby. I'm ready. I am ready. And just a quick update for you guys so you know. So they had the 2-day mini camp taking place, and then phase 2 um, is going to last about 3 weeks, and it's going to feature individual and group drills on the field, but no offense versus defense work. So this is what we got going on. And then the 4-week phase 3, which includes OTAs and the mandatory minicamp, that'll actually start in on May 16th. So a lot of stuff coming up, man. Let's go, man. Let's go. Then obviously there's gonna be rookie minicamp, but I don't expect a lot of rookies this year. And then guys, if you didn't know, the Dolphins, they went ahead and they released the new numbers for all the players. And I want to show you that video. They posted a nice little video for y'all. Bowden 3, Morstead 4, Bridgewater 5, Tyreek 10, Cedrick 11, Sherfield 14. D'Angelo Ross, Quincy Wilson, Don Lovett, Connor Williams 58, Taron Armstead 72, John Jacobs taking 77, Dead Buns 88.3, Craig Craft 85, 489, all 96. Love it. Love it, baby. Let's go. And obviously, starting off, Edmonds is going to be number 2. So those are the new numbers for the new Dolphins. It's kind of, it's crazy to see Cedric Wilson in 11, Devontae Parker no longer here. Lynn Bowden changing to 3, obviously something to talk about. But Tyreek got that 10. Man, it's a beautiful thing. Man, I love it, man. I love it. Colin Cowherd might be changing. I don't know what's going on, but someone tell me. This was Colin Cowherd's projections in 2022 for Tua Tagovailoa. He expects a 29 completion percentage, 23 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, and a 96 passer rating. I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. I think this is actually a little bit low. I see between 28 to 32 and 8 to 11. Right. So I see 28 to 32 touchdowns. I agree with the 69 completion percentage. I think he'll flirt with 70-ish%. I see 8 to 11 interceptions, and I could see 96 to 96 to a 100 passer rating in there. I think it's a little low, but I will say this. It's a lot better than you would have expected Cowherd to give him after what Cowherd was saying about him last year. Let me say this. Okay. Would have liked to see how much yardage he expected him to put out. But, I actually, I agree with K-Jax. His TD to interception is actually quite optimistic. That's a pretty good touchdown. That's basically a 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, right? It's 1 touchdown away from making it fully 3. So, I think we're going to be 28 to 32. Touchdowns, and I think you're going to have 8 to 11 interceptions. I agree with the completion percentage hovering around 70, might even be 70 or above, and the passer rating 96 to 100 makes sense to me. So, like Jeremiah Kelly, that's kind of where I'm around. Good call. But I'm actually surprised how optimistic he is. I know some of you guys in the comments are doing it. I want to hear from y'all. What do you think to his touchdown interception is going to be? What do you think his completion percentage is going to be? And what do you think his overall passer rating is going to be in 2022? And throw in the yards. How many yards? Because I think he's going to be at 3,800 to 4,200 yards. So let me hear how many yards. I'm personally saying, 68 to 71 completion percentage, right? I'm saying 28 to 32 touchdowns passing, 8 to 11 interceptions, and I'll say 96 to 100 passer rating, and I'm going to say 3,800 to 4,200 yards. Exactly, Samuel. Tua got that torque back, baby. Let's go. I actually don't think Cowherd's being totally unfair. I think he's projecting him a little low, but I don't think he's being unfair when you actually look at the complete percentage, the passer rating, and the touchdown interception ratio. I just think it's a little low. Like, I think he's going to have more than 23 passing touchdowns. Yeah, I don't think he's going to, I think 28 to 32 is more reasonable in terms of touchdowns. So, yeah, let me know in the comments whether you're watching now, whether you're watching after. I want to hear some of your guys' thoughts. Man. Let me put some of y'all up here. Okay, Duke says 35 to 13. KJ says 28 to 12. Jeremiah 30 to 10. We got Duke 35 touchdowns. Bronson 31 to 14. God 31 to 12. Yep says it's 23 because we'll have a run game. Alu says 35 to 8. That'd be amazing, bro. That would be freaking awesome. Jeremiah goes with 4,350 yards as well. God 7,100 yards. I don't know what that. Completion percentage 70, pass rating. Paul Holland. I like those. Paul Holland, that is very reasonable. And I like where Paul Holland's at. Let me put that out there. I like where he's at. South Florida Dawn, 30 to 10, 3,800, 31 to 15, 36 to 10, 38.50, 31. Tony says 30 to 9. Jevon 29.9. Oh, 7 rush touchdowns. I like it. 36 total. 27-7. 32 to 13 says Lisa. Zachary says 33 to 8. Ivan says 36 and 10. 31 to 9. 3,300 yards. 67 completion percentage. 56 touchdowns. This guy. 101 rating. I like it. I'm just surprised that Cowherd's trying to be like level-headed after being such a 2A hater. You'll love to see it. Not gonna lie, you'll love to see it. Speaking of Tua, guys, last year, even further into the stats, Tua had the highest completion rate in the red zone last season. 66.1%. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Give me that. With these explosive weapons in this offense this year, oh, we turning those into touchdowns, baby. We turning those into touchdowns. Let's go. So, more hope that he's going to turn a corner and take a step forward. Right there. Now we got weapons that can take it to the house in the red zone. Tyreek Hill. Waddle's going to have more space in the red zone. Gesicki going to have more space. I love it. Absolutely love it. All right. The Dolphins, they invited an Ohio edge player. In the Dolphins, searching for another pass rusher and edge player to develop, flew in Miami of Ohio prospect Dominique Robinson to team headquarters on Monday, according to a school source familiar with its schedule. Robinson, who was 6'5", 253 pounds, spent his first 2 seasons at wide receiver, catching 27 passes for 452 yards and 2 touchdowns before shifting to defensive end before the 2020 season. Robinson produced 37 tackles, including 11 of those for a loss, 6.5 sacks in just 15 games as a defensive end. He was voted third team all-conference after producing 4.5 sacks in 12 games last season. Lance Zierlein said this of him: wideout turned quarterback hunter with the bricks and mortar needed to build an impactful career as a 3-4 outside linebacker or 4-3 rush end. Robinson frequently flashes despite his relative experience at the position. This is why I asked you if you guys wanted me to do edge or tackle. Now, y'all pick tackle, but it really seems like they're looking for an end. He's quick off the snap, using plus fluidity, athleticism, and bend to trim the edge and assail the pocket. However, he needs additional moves and counters before he's ready to beat pro tackles. He must get stronger and more technically sound in run support. Aligning as a stand-up rush linebacker might help expand his range as a playmaker in space. Robinson projects as an unpolished gem with a high ceiling and stable floor. NFL teams are permitted to bring in as many 30 non-local prospects to team headquarters. The Dolphins, like most teams, do not announce their visits, but the Miami Herald has reported 5 of their visits. Robinson, Tyrion Davis-Price, Channing Tindall, JT Woods, and Cameron Good. The Dolphins have only 4 draft picks. And then mock pick, Todd McShay and Mel Kiper alternated draft picks in the first 3 rounds. And Mel Kiper has us taking Penn State linebacker Brandon Smith at 102, who was my linebacker 5. Since this is Miami's first pick of the draft, I'm going to follow my board and take the best prospect available. Smith has some limitations in coverage, but he will seek and destroy running backs. If the Dolphins are serious about stopping the run in 2022, Smith will help. Kiper, incidentally, has Tindall going 66 and Woods 98. Keep an eye on Western Kentucky outside linebacker D'Angelo Malone. Dolphins have spent time with him, and McShay has him going 94th. Miami's searching for competition at center. McShay has Arizona State Donovan West going 101, one spot before Miami, who was also my center too. So, man, if we could get Channing Tindall, whew. I haven't even looked at their mock, but that tells me Leo Chanel and Chad Moom are long gone. But Brandon Smith at 102, I would be down 110%. That guy's got a real high ceiling, man. Real high ceiling. Ton of good traits for Brandon Smith, man. I would not be mad whatsoever. And guys, the Dolphins bringing back a familiar face. They've re-signed Benito Jones, who played 48 defensive snaps in 6 games for Miami in 2020 and spent all last season on the Dolphins practice squad with no game experiences. Remember, this is a guy where they had to refine him in the run game. The crazy thing about him coming out of college, if you remember, me and EM loved him coming out of college, but he was an oddity. As a zero tech, he was a better pass rusher than run stopper, which is rare, but you want to be a good run stopper if you're going to be a zero tech. So Benito brought back, continuing to develop him. I love it. I love it because if he gets his run game, his run stop game refined, man, he's going to be really good. He's going to be a good rotational piece for this team. Another interesting thing happened yesterday. So, someone responded to Denzel Ward's new deal, said Xavien Howard is not going to be happy about this. David Cantor, Xavien Howard's freaking agent, responded straight and said, why? True APY average per year is 16.67 versus Xavien at 19. Player had a 5th year fully guaranteed option rolled in. New money is 20 million average per year versus our 25 per year. Don't compare the press release, compare the real deal. Also, we had 3 years remaining at significantly below market values. If X got to open market, he'd get 23 to 25 million a year, but obviously not possible due to his previous restructuring that I did not negotiate. So I mean, his freaking agent coming out here and letting y'all know, yeah, we got no problem with Denzel Ward's money. So all of you that are saying, oh, he's just going to want to restructure next year because of that, nah, man. His agent and X, they're cool with the money right now. They are good with the money right now. And that, I like seeing that. I like seeing that our best player on our team right now, or one of the best players on our team, now that Tyreek and Taron Armstead have arrived, one of the best player on our team is happier than a pig. And you know what? If his agent's happy, he's echoing the sentiments of his client. So Denzel Ward's money, I love the fact that it is not affecting Xavien's outlook. Miami getting to the party late. 42 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 4,500 yards prediction for Tua from him. That would be crazy, man. He'll be an all-pro with those numbers. All-pro. So shout out to David Cantor for right away clearing the air, not even letting reports start that, X next year because of that money. Let's go, man. And then finally, for all y'all really interested in the Deebo stuff, guys, a couple things for y'all. One, San Francisco would pay Deebo Samuel today, tomorrow, the next day. It's not hard to figure out what the contract would look like. This, I think, is Deebo not wanting to get a deal done. The 49ers are ready. Deebo is the one that's put a halt to everything for right now, said Adam Schefter on ESPN today. Deebo wants out, ladies and gentlemen. I've been telling y'all this. Deebo wants out. Okay? I've told y'all there's a disconnect between him and Shanahan. That's just a fact. And this man wants out. He will be a Dolphin by next offseason. And people are like, well, reason it doesn't make sense to spend all that money on receivers, but he's not just a receiver. Guys, last I checked, we don't have a third down back. We don't have a guy to use in the red zone. And last I checked, that's how McDaniel used Deebo in San Francisco's offense. So he's got a ton of usage. People are worried about too many mouths to feed. There's usage for Deebo in this offense right now. Right now. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. You can give him 6 to 8 carries, and you can give him 5 to 8 targets. That is not impossible in this in our current offense. And people are saying there's no financial way right now. Yes, there is. Deebo Samuel only has a $4.9 million cap hit, guys. We have over $20 million in cap space. It's all about how you would structure his deal. Again, Tyreek's gone in 2026. He's got a $50.1 million cap hit. That tells you he's gone by 2026. It's all about structure. You structure to get him his money before Waddle's up. And when he leaves, Deebo and when Tyreek leaves in 2026, Deebo and Waddle are your top guys. Deebo will be turning 30. I think he's 26 right now. Alou, we have no running back that you're not giving the ball to Chase Edmonds or Gaskin or Ahmed or Mozart on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2 in a red zone situation. You're just not going to. Makes no sense. We do not have a third down back. We do not have a short yardage situation back. We do not have a red zone back right now. And even McDaniel drafted Trey Sermon last year with the hope he could be that. People saying give it to our fullback. Guys, in McDaniel's offense, you have a lead blocker 44% of the time. So that tells you on almost half of our run plays, the fullback's going to be lead blocking. You're not going to be giving him the ball. And again, they had a better fullback in San Francisco with Kyle Juszczyk. Who'd they give the ball to? Kyle Juszczyk or Deebo Samuel? I'll wait. Answer me. Who did they give it to? They gave it to Deebo. They did not give it to Kyle Juszczyk. Now, continuing on with Deebo. His brother is going wild tonight. Someone commented on Facebook saying, trade him. Deebo's brother responded and said, don't worry, we asking for a trade. While we were live, I got a text telling me, look out for the Baltimore Ravens potentially sniffing around Deebo right now. Furthermore, there was a stream done by the SF Niners. There was a stream live when I was about to go live. Deebo's brother was in the comment section of the stream, and he was doubling down on this. He was saying, we ain't going to be here next year. That we are not going to be in San Francisco next year. Guys, he doesn't like Kyle Shanahan. And people are really underselling the bond him and McDaniel have. Like, they are uber tight, man. Uber tight. And I'm going to show you. I had Jeff told me on Twitter, Fanatical 4. Okay, so here you go. Don't worry, we asking for a trade. Him and his brother posting that, saying that. And now his brother, Fanatical, even posted the link. This stream said Deebo's brother doubled down and said, let me make it clear, Deebo will not be a 49er next year. I responded to him. I said, where did he say that? In the stream? He said, yes, he's still streaming live now. That was an hour ago. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell y'all. I mean, it ain't good in San Francisco with Deebo Samuel right now. Guys, smash that like button. We got 405 in the room. We need to get these likes up hard right now. Smash the like button. Shout out to Fanatical. He showed up. What up, buddy? He showed up. There you go. Fanatical. He's the one who was going back and forth with me, showing me that stuff. Can we afford Deebo? Yes. Deebo only has a $4.9 million cap hit this year, bro. All you got to do is structure the money. Byron's going to be coming off the books next year. They are trading Byron Jones next year. They will be trading Byron Jones next year. And I don't think they pay Gesicki if they make a move for Deebo. So, I'm just saying. Do I think Deebo is going to be a 49er this year? I still don't believe it'll happen till next offseason. But we are where he's going to push for. And here's the issue. I've told y'all this, what I've been told. The issue other teams are going to have in trying to trade for him is if he's willing to sign an extension with them or not. From what I've been told, teams are reluctant to give up a lot for him because they don't believe he's going to sign an extension. People in NFL circles believe he's going to end up a Miami Dolphin. That's the issue. People just need to realize I've been told he'll take less money to play for McDaniel. So people are really underestimating how tight that bond is. It's one of the tightest bonds I've come across. These guys are like, it's deeper than football with these guys. Like, they're really good friends in real life. And you want me to tell you what the honest thing is too? Here's what you're running into right now. I'm going to tell you right now. The problem all these people are running into, my opinion, it seems like McDaniel is the only one Deebo trusts his career with. That's what I think too. I think because of what happened last year with him sitting on the meetings to get in between the meetings and do film work, no other OC would let a receiver do that. I've never heard of that ever happening before. I think, and then how he was used and the success he gained in 1 year being used as McDaniel, I think the issue is he doesn't trust anyone except Mike McDaniel. I think he trusts his career and his life with Mike McDaniel. That's an issue I think people are going to realize. Oh, Bowden's going to be Bowden. There ain't no one sleeping on Bowden. I think that's what we're running into right now. Is I think he trusts McDaniel more than anyone out here. And that's why he wants to play with him. See, the thing is, when you got someone who trusts their life and their career with someone, that's a freaking strong bond, man. That is a very, very strong bond. So you got to take that into effect, man. So we'll see how it goes. I still don't think I don't know if they make the move for him this offseason. If they do, it'll be at their cost. And it'll be way cheaper than what they paid for Tyreek Hill. We'll see though. Let it play out. I think they're gonna wait it out, and he won't. If he gets traded to another team, he won't sign an extension. I think he's going to wait it out till next offseason. I think he's going to call their bluff. They won't franchise tag him. Boom. There you go. That's what I think. That's what I think is going to happen in the long run with this. So he wants to be a Dolphin. People around the league know it. The Dolphins know it. San Francisco knows it. They're kind of getting put into a position of a Deshaun Watson minus the no trade clause. That's what's really happening right now. So, will his desire to play for McDaniel and the Dolphins scare off other teams? No, but teams will trade for him. They're just not going to give an arm and a leg without an extension in place, and I don't think that extension is going to get put in place. Like, I would keep their pick next year. I would offer them our pick, and I would offer them a third. And say, here you go. Take it or leave it. And then Byron plays this year for us. Next year, I move Byron. And then I either draft a guy with our pick in the first round, or I kick Needham out to the boundary and I go get a slot guy. See, you stop pigeonholing Deebo Samuel as a receiver. Deebo is not just a receiver. He's Cordell Patterson on crack. Anyone who just pigeonholes him as a receiver and you're just looking at him as just an addition to the receiver room, you're not looking at this. You don't know how they're going to use them, clearly. B, you're looking at this whole situation totally wrong. He's not just a receiver, man. And anyone trying to just say, oh, well, other guys aren't going to be happy because he's taking away, targets. No. If Tua's going to be throwing the ball 25 to 30 times a game, again, I only need to give 5 to 8 targets to Deebo. I can give him 5 targets and I give him 8 carries as a running back. He's touched the ball 14 times. He's touched the ball 13 times. Stop looking at him as just a receiver. It's bigger than that. We don't have a third down back. We don't have a back in the red zone. We don't have a short yardage back. That's how Deebo was used, and that's how Deebo was very effective. And no, Needham was not terrible on the boundary. My God. The guy was actually really good in year one. It was a rookie with no help. Up top, Bobby McCain was learning a new position, and Xavien Howard was out, and he had no help on the other side. Needham was not terrible on the boundary. That is not the proper assessment. And Needham took a massive step inside the slot last year, and newsflash, it's harder inside the slot than on the boundary because you don't have the boundary to help you. You got to mirror cuts. You got to mirror breaks with no boundary to help you. It's actually harder to mirror and stay with your man in the slot than it is in the boundary. I can leverage you out. I can leverage you outside towards the boundary and put myself between you and the boundary, and you got no room, and it's got to be a freaking perfect pass. In the slot, I don't have that luxury. So, no, that is not a correct assessment. And his step forward in the slot last year should tell you that he could take on even a bigger role on the boundary. So, Needham is a good athlete. He is a very good athlete, man. So, all right, guys, here's the deal. I'm going to get out of here. If anything breaks tomorrow, I'll be back. If not, expect me on Thursday. On Sunday, we're going to do our tackle big board. And on Thursday, I'm going to come with a draft theme show for your guy. So I'm going to come with a draft theme show on Thursday for y'all. I'm not going to tell you what the topic is, but you're going to want to tune in. It's going to be very interesting topic for Dolphin fans and correlating to this draft and where we pick. So expect me on Thursday. If anything major breaks tomorrow, I will be back. Guys, as always, I appreciate each and every one of you spending some of your evening with me. I love each and every one of you, even the haters. You make me get better. Rebrand is coming, and I showed EM Dolphin fan it, and it blew his mind. I showed Ryan Roberts it after our pod yesterday, and he loved it. So if you haven't had a chance, go back and check out the episode yesterday with Ryan Roberts. Very informative options at 102, 125, and the 200s that the Dolphins could look at, and that makes sense for what we want to run schematically, defensively, or offensively. So go take a look. Guys, until next time, you already know what time it is, baby. Fins up all day, every